My sister-in-law threatened to steal my unborn child using her fake grief, so I helped her grief become real. My sister-in-law threatened to steal my unborn child using her fake grief, so I helped her grief become real. I'm Sarah, and I need you to understand something about my brother Jake's wife, Bethany. She discovered her ultimate weapon the day she lost her first pregnancy at 8 weeks. What started as genuine sorrow quickly transformed into something far more sinister, a manipulation tool sharper than any blade. If someone questioned her spending habits, Bethany would clutch her stomach and whisper, "How can you be so insensitive to my loss?" If anyone in our family dared share good news, she'd flee the room wailing that their happiness was triggering her trauma. When Jake asked her to help around their suburban Chicago home, she'd collapse dramatically on their leather sectional, claiming the stress might cause another miscarriage. The manipulation evolved from tears to total family destruction within months. First, Bethany got our mother's 60th birthday celebration cancelled. Mom had planned an elegant garden party at the Ritz-Carlton with soft pink roses and champagne toasts. But Bethany claimed the pink decorations triggered memories of the baby blanket she'd never use. Instead of celebrating 6 decades of life, Mom spent her milestone birthday in Bethany's darkened living room, stroking her hair while she sobbed into tissues. The pattern accelerated when my cousin Ashley announced her pregnancy at our family's 4th of July barbecue in Naperville. Ashley had struggled with fertility for 3 years, and her joy was infectious as she showed us the ultrasound photo. But Bethany's face twisted with rage. She shrieked that we were rubbing fertility in her face and claimed seeing the sonogram gave her a panic attack. Ashley, mortified and guilt-ridden, hid her entire pregnancy from the family. She gave birth to beautiful twin boys that most of us never knew existed until they were 6 months old. Then came the Mercedes incident that revealed Bethany's true nature. She wanted a $70,000 Silver C-Class, but Jake, a sensible accountant, said their budget couldn't handle the payments. So Bethany orchestrated her most calculated performance yet. At Fletcher Mercedes-Benz in Schaumburg, she staged a complete breakdown in front of the entire showroom. She wailed about needing a safe car for her future rainbow baby and threatened divorce if Jake didn't sign the paperwork immediately. The salespeople shifted uncomfortably as Bethany threw herself across the hood of the car, screaming that Jake was killing her dreams of motherhood. Humiliated and desperate to stop the scene, Jake signed the loan documents with shaking hands. But Bethany wasn't finished with her reign of terror. She saved her cruelest performance for my wedding planning. I'd dreamed of a spring wedding with white peonies and soft ivory linens at the Chicago Botanic Garden. Bethany called every single vendor, the florist, caterer, photographer, claiming my flower choices would trigger miscarriages in sensitive women. She posted on wedding forums under fake names, calling me a baby killer who was torturing grieving mothers with fertility symbols. When I refused to change my carefully planned May date because it was too close to her loss anniversary, Bethany told extended family members that my selfishness had caused her to lose twins. Not one baby, twins. The lie grew more elaborate each time she told it. I thought I'd seen the depths of her manipulation. I was wrong. What Bethany planned next would shatter everything I thought I knew about evil. 4 months into my own pregnancy, I'd managed to keep my secret from everyone except Bethany. She'd noticed the subtle changes first, how I'd started ordering ginger ale instead of wine at family dinners, the way I'd excuse myself from Mom's Tuesday night sushi dates, claiming I had food poisoning again. Bethany watched me with the calculating eyes of a predator studying prey. I should have been more careful, but pregnancy brain made me sloppy. At Jake and Bethany's housewarming party in their new Elmhurst Colonial, I'd instinctively placed my hand over my still flat stomach when their golden retriever, Baxter, jumped up playfully. The gesture lasted only seconds, but Bethany caught it. Her smile was ice cold as she cornered me in their granite kitchen later that evening. "Congratulations," she whispered, loading the dishwasher with mechanical precision. "When are you due?" "I don't know what you're talking about," I stammered, but my face betrayed everything. "October, I'd guess, based on how you've been avoiding soft cheese and how exhausted you looked at Ashley's baby shower last month." Bethany's voice was eerily calm. "Don't worry, your secret's safe with me." The way she said secret made my skin crawl. Over the following weeks, Bethany's behavior shifted into something more disturbing. She'd show up unannounced at my Lincoln Park apartment with prenatal vitamins, claiming she'd bought too many during her pregnancy attempts. She'd text me articles about pregnancy nutrition and birthing classes, always with messages like "thought you might need these someday." The attention felt suffocating, but I told myself she was trying to be supportive. Maybe losing her pregnancy had made her protective of other expectant mothers. Maybe I was being paranoid. I was scheduled for my routine 16-week checkup at Northwestern Memorial Hospital on a rainy Tuesday morning in November. I'd parked in the medical center's garage and was walking toward the elevators when Bethany appeared beside me like a ghost. "What are you doing here?" I asked, startled. "I had a feeling you might need support today," she said, linking her arm through mine with possessive intimacy. "Big appointment, right?" My blood turned to ice. How could she possibly know about my appointment? I'd been so careful, scheduling during work hours and telling no one. "Unless. Have you been following me?" I whispered. Bethany's laugh was light and musical, but her grip on my arm tightened. "Following you? Sarah, we're family. I care about you. I care about both of you." The way she emphasized both made my stomach lurch. "I think you should go home, Bethany." "Oh, but I can't do that." Her voice dropped to barely above a whisper as we stood in the busy hospital lobby, surrounded by patients and families going about their normal lives. "You see, I have a proposition for you. A mutually beneficial arrangement that could solve both our problems." She guided me to a quiet corner near the gift shop, where teddy bears and "It's a Boy" balloons created a grotesquely cheerful backdrop for what was about to become the most terrifying conversation of my life. "I know you're pregnant," Bethany said, her eyes glittering with something that looked almost like hunger. "Here's what's going to happen," Bethany continued, her voice steady as a surgeon's scalpel. "You're going to tell everyone you're carrying a baby for me as a surrogate. You'll give birth, hand the baby to me, and I'll finally be the mother everyone pities me for not being." I laughed, actually laughed, thinking this had to be some twisted joke. "Bethany, what are you talking about?" But her expression didn't change. If anything, her smile grew wider. "I'm completely serious, Sarah. Think about it logically. I'm the one with the tragic backstory. I'm the one everyone expects to have a baby. You're the career-focused single woman who's never even talked about wanting children. I'm not giving you my baby." The words exploded from me louder than intended, causing a nearby nurse to glance our way with concern. Bethany's hand shot out and gripped my wrist. "Lower your voice. You're making a scene." "I don't care. You're insane if you think I'll." "If you refuse," she interrupted, her voice dropping to a whisper, "I'll tell everyone you've been mocking my miscarriages throughout your entire pregnancy." My mouth went dry. "What?" Bethany pulled out her iPhone with her free hand, scrolling through what looked like email drafts. "I've already prepared messages to your boss at Sterling and Associates about your workplace harassment regarding my infertility. How you've been laughing about my defective womb during partner meetings." She swiped to another screen showing text message conversations that looked like they were between us, but I'd never sent these messages. Screenshots of texts where I'd apparently called her barren and pathetic and suggested she stop trying and buy a dog instead. "These are fake." I gasped. "I never sent these." "Are they?" Bethany tilted her head with mock confusion. "Your phone number, your contact photo, time-stamped conversations. Who's going to believe you? Especially when I show them how you've been hiding your pregnancy while I've been openly grieving." The edited conversations were sophisticated, woven between real messages we'd exchanged about family dinners and birthday plans. To anyone else, they'd look completely authentic. "I've been planning this for weeks, Sarah. Ever since I realized what a perfect solution this could be." She scrolled through more fabricated evidence. "I have emails ready to send to Mom, Jake, your colleagues, even your church. Everyone will see exactly what kind of person you really are." My legs felt weak. I gripped the wall for support as the magnitude of her plan hit me. "Besides," Bethany added with sickening sweetness, "you can always have another one. You're young, healthy, fertile." She practically spat the last word. But this might be my only chance at motherhood. The doctors said my miscarriage complications make future pregnancies unlikely. Standing in that hospital corridor with my hand protectively over my bump, realizing Bethany literally wanted to steal my child, I felt rage unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Pure, white-hot fury that this woman thought she could destroy my life and take my baby. But I also felt something else, clarity. Bethany had just made a fatal mistake. She'd shown me her cards, revealed her weakness. Her desperate need to maintain her victim story would be her downfall. I forced my expression to remain neutral, even as my mind raced through possibilities. Bethany was still gripping my wrist, watching my face for signs of surrender. I need time to think about this, I said carefully. There's nothing to think about, Sarah. This is happening. Her grip tightened. But I'm generous. I'll give you until tomorrow to come to terms with it. Meet me at Starbucks on Michigan Avenue at noon. We'll discuss the details of how to announce your generous surrogacy gift. After she left, I sat in my obstetrician's waiting room, shaking. Dr. Patricia Martinez took one look at my pale face and elevated blood pressure and wanted to admit me for observation. I convinced her I was just stressed about work, but she made me promise to take the rest of the day off. Instead of going home, I drove straight to Jake's accounting firm in downtown Oak Brook. Sterling Financial occupied the 15th floor of a gleaming office tower, and Jake's corner office overlooked the western suburbs. He was reviewing quarterly reports when his assistant, Claire, showed me in. Sarah. What a nice surprise. You look. Jake's welcoming smile faded when he saw my expression. What's wrong? I need to talk to you about Bethany, I said, closing his office door. About the surrogacy arrangement she proposed. Jake's face went completely blank. What surrogacy arrangement? I'd rehearsed this conversation during the drive, knowing I had to be careful. Bethany was his wife, the woman he'd loved enough to overlook months of increasingly disturbing behavior. I couldn't just dump the truth on him without proof. She approached me yesterday about carrying a baby for you too, I said, pulling out my phone. She said you'd both discussed it but wanted me to hear it from her first. Jake's confusion was genuine. Sarah, we never discussed surrogacy. Bethany said she wanted to keep trying naturally, that surrogacy felt like giving up. That's strange. Because she was very specific about the arrangement. I showed him the threatening texts Bethany had sent, but framed them differently. She sent me these messages about how desperately she needs this, and honestly, Jake, some of them worry me. Jake read the messages, his face growing paler with each screenshot. The texts about my defective womb comments, the threats to contact my employer, the demand that I hand over my baby, all of it looked like evidence of a woman having a complete mental breakdown. These are from yesterday morning, Jake said slowly, checking the timestamps. Yesterday morning when she was with me at Oak Brook Center Mall. We were shopping for new kitchen chairs. I watched the realization dawn in his eyes. His wife had been plotting to steal his sister's baby while walking beside him through Williams-Sonoma, discussing thread counts for throw pillows. Jake, I'm scared, I said, and this part wasn't acting. She keeps saying this is her only chance at motherhood, and that I should understand the sacrifice. I'm worried about what she might do if I refuse. My brother spent 3 days processing everything. 3 days of coming home to Bethany's normal routine, cooking dinner, watching Netflix, discussing their weekend plans, while knowing she was capable of calculating cruelty. Finally, he made a decision that would change everything. Jake decided to confront Bethany on Mother's Day, her favorite stage for sympathy performances. The irony was perfect. Every year, Bethany turned Mother's Day into her personal grief festival, monopolizing family attention while actual mothers sat in the background. This year, with the whole family gathered at Mom's house in Hinsdale for her famous honey-glazed ham dinner, Bethany would have her largest audience yet. I arrived deliberately late, now 7 months pregnant and unable to hide my growing belly any longer. I'd chosen a fitted navy dress that showcased my bump, no more baggy sweaters or strategic purse placement. The moment I walked into Mom's sun-filled family room, every conversation stopped. My cousin Ashley nearly dropped her coffee mug. Uncle Ben's wife, Catherine, audibly gasped. Mom's hand flew to her heart. But it was Bethany's reaction that chilled me to the bone. Her eyes locked onto my belly with an expression I can only describe as hunger. Raw, desperate hunger. Then her face transformed into her familiar mask of suffering. Oh God, she whispered, pressing both hands to her stomach. Sarah, I'm so happy for you, but seeing this is triggering severe cramping. The stress of surprise pregnancies. She doubled over dramatically. Classic Bethany, already spinning my presence into her trauma narrative. Aunt Catherine immediately rushed to comfort her. Sweetheart, do you need to lie down? I'll be fine, Bethany gasped bravely. I just need a moment to process. Sarah, you should have warned us. The shock of seeing pregnancy so suddenly after my losses. Actually, Jake interrupted, standing up from his chair by the fireplace, I have something to say about Sarah's pregnancy. The room fell silent except for the grandfather clock ticking in the corner. Jake pulled out his phone with steady hands. Bethany tried to force Sarah to give her our baby, he announced clearly. She threatened to destroy Sarah's life if she refused. Bethany's performance stopped mid-sob. What are you talking about? Jake began reading her messages aloud. The fake harassment emails. The edited texts. The demand that I hand over my child and pretend it was surrogacy. Every calculated, cruel detail. I watched our family members' faces as the truth sank in. Mom's expression shifted from confusion to horror. Ashley's mouth fell open as she realized how Bethany had weaponized her own hidden pregnancy. Uncle Ben looked physically sick. These were the same people Bethany had manipulated for months with her grief performances. They were reading proof of her calculating, predatory mind. This is ridiculous, Bethany said, but her voice shook. Jake, you're having some kind of breakdown. The stress of trying for a baby has made you paranoid. She tried clutching her stomach again, whispering about bleeding from stress, but something had fundamentally changed. Nobody moved to comfort her. Nobody rushed to her aid. For the first time in over a year, Bethany's audience saw through her act. And that's when she completely lost control. You all think you're so smart, she screamed, her careful mask finally cracking. Sarah doesn't deserve that baby. I've suffered. I've lost children. I deserve to be a mother more than some selfish career woman who probably doesn't even want it. The room erupted in shocked voices, but Bethany wasn't finished with her final performance. What happened next still plays in slow motion in my nightmares. Bethany's eyes darted around the room, taking in the horrified faces of every family member she'd manipulated. Mom's expression had hardened into something I'd never seen before, protective fury. Ashley was recording everything on her phone. Uncle Ben was already reaching for his cell to call someone, maybe the police. Bethany's kingdom of sympathy was crumbling in real time, and she knew it. You're all against me, she shrieked, her voice climbing to a pitch that made the crystal glasses on Mom's dining table vibrate. I'm the victim here. I'm the one who's suffered. She looked directly at my belly, and I saw something snap behind her eyes. That should be my baby. Before anyone could react, Bethany lunged across Mom's coffee table toward the kitchen. I heard the metallic scrape of the knife block, the sharp ring of steel being drawn. Bethany, no. Jake shouted, but she was already spinning back toward me with an 8-inch carving knife, the same one Mom used every year to slice the Mother's Day ham. Time fractured. I saw Ashley's horrified face. Uncle Ben lunging forward. Mom's antique lamp crashing to the hardwood floor. But mostly I saw Bethany's twisted expression as she raised the knife toward my belly, screaming, I deserve your baby more than you do. Ashley grabbed my arm and yanked me backward just as Jake crashed into his wife from the side. They went down together, wrestling for the knife as I stumbled into Mom's bookshelf, my hands instinctively covering my stomach. Call 911. Mom screamed, but her voice sounded distant, muffled by the sound of my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. Jake managed to pin Bethany's wrist against the floor, but she kept fighting, kept screaming. She's stealing my chance at motherhood. That baby belongs to me. I've suffered more. That's when my 72-year-old mother, all 5 feet 3 inches of her, stepped forward and slapped Bethany across the face with a sound like a gunshot. The slap was so unexpected, so completely unlike gentle Mom, that Bethany actually stopped struggling for a moment. She looked up at my mother with genuine shock. How dare you, Mom said, her voice shaking with rage. How dare you threaten my daughter and grandchild in my home? Bethany started to respond, but Mom wasn't finished. You manipulative, twisted woman. You cancelled my birthday. You terrorized Ashley. You've made every family gathering about your fake grief, and now you try to steal Sarah's baby. The knife finally clattered to the floor as Jake secured it. Bethany collapsed into dramatic sobs, clutching her reddened cheek. I'm bleeding, she wailed. The stress is making me bleed. I'm losing another baby. But nobody moved to comfort her. Nobody rushed to her aid. By the time the Hinsdale police arrived, Bethany was in full performance mode, claiming she'd had a psychotic break due to pregnancy hormones and grief. She insisted she'd never hurt anyone, that the knife was for self-defense because she felt threatened. The paramedics found no evidence of bleeding. The pregnancy test they administered came back negative. Bethany had been lying about being pregnant too. The legal aftermath moved surprisingly quickly. Jake filed for divorce while Bethany awaited trial for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The evidence was overwhelming. My phone contained her threatening messages, Ashley's video captured her attack, and 6 family members witnessed her try to stab a pregnant woman. Bethany's defense attorney tried every angle. Temporary insanity, grief-induced psychosis, postpartum depression from her miscarriage months earlier. But the calculated nature of her plan, the fake texts, the weeks of surveillance, the systematic manipulation, proved premeditation. In the end, she pled guilty to avoid jail time. The judge sentenced her to 3 years probation, mandatory psychiatric evaluation, and a restraining order requiring her to stay at least 500 feet from me and my family. During her victim impact statement, Bethany performed one final act. She clutched a tissue box and spoke about how losing her pregnancy had driven her to desperation. How she'd only wanted to be a mother, and seeing my easy pregnancy had triggered a mental breakdown. "I never meant to hurt anyone," she sobbed to the judge. "I just wanted what Sarah had. I wanted to matter to someone the way a mother matters to her child." Even in court, even after being caught in lies about fake pregnancies and fabricated grief, Bethany couldn't stop performing. The judge wasn't impressed. "Mrs. Patterson, your actions show a pattern of calculated manipulation spanning months. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. This was systematic psychological abuse culminating in a violent attack on a pregnant woman. You're fortunate the state has agreed to probation." Jake moved out of their Elmhurst house immediately after the sentencing. He later told me that living with Bethany had been like sharing space with a ghost, someone who seemed real but had no authentic core underneath the performance. "I kept thinking I could love her back to mental health," he confided during one of our coffee dates at a Lincoln Park cafe. "I thought if I just gave her enough attention, enough validation, she'd stop needing to manufacture crises." 3 months after the divorce was finalized, Jake heard through mutual friends that Bethany had moved to Springfield and was dating a cardiologist named Trevor. She'd apparently told his family about her tragic miscarriage and how her abusive ex-husband's family had blamed her for grieving. Same story, different audience. "I gave birth to my son, Oliver, on a crisp October morning at Northwestern Memorial, the same hospital where Bethany had first threatened me." Jake was in the delivery room, tears streaming down his face as he held his nephew for the first time. "She almost stole this," he whispered, cradling Oliver's tiny form. "She almost stole this perfect little person." Mom, who'd become fiercely protective after the Mother's Day incident, barely left my hospital room. She'd brought photo albums and kept showing other visitors pictures of her first grandchild with pride that made up for months of Bethany's stolen celebrations. Oliver is 3 now, a bright-eyed toddler who calls his Uncle Jake Unca and has never heard Bethany's name spoken in his presence. Sometimes I catch Jake watching Oliver play, and I know he's thinking about the alternative timeline where Bethany succeeded. But she didn't succeed. Her fake grief became real loss. She lost her marriage, her family, her audience for manipulation. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people destroy themselves with their own lies.